So I'm recording this so that those that couldn't make it can join us. So I want to start with, we'll start talking about the syllabus first. And I'm not going to read the syllabus to you, but I'm going to share the finer points and some of a little bit of background or extra things that might be helpful for you as you consider the syllabus. So now I believe you should see a screen that has Howdy Introduction to Bioenvironmental Sciences. Is that correct? Okay, great. I can see a few people nodding, so we'll go with that. Okay. All right. So we're going to have an introduction to who I am, why I'm qualified to teach this course, talk about the course concept, and generally some fine points in the syllabus I think it's useful for you to know. Can you still see? You see pictures of me? Okay, with Reveille. All right, so I am Dr. Stoddard. I am an instructional associate professor in the Department of Plant Pathology and Microbiology. I'm also the associate department for undergraduate studies. There's my email. It's honestly easier to email me in Canvas if you have a course-related question. I get a lot of emails. So Canvas is an easier place to email me, as well as if I haven't responded to your email in 24 hours, it's not because I'm ignoring you. I promise. I just have a lot of emails. I was trying to weed it down, and I'm like just got below 1,000. So I'm not trying to ignore you. I just have a lot of emails. My office hours are posted in Canvas. If those times don't work for you, please reach out to me and we can find a time that does work for us both. So I am a graduate of Texas A&M. I graduated in 2005 with my bioenvironmental sciences degree. So the class that you're taking now, I took as a freshman in 2001. So full circle, I now teach the class, which is really kind of cool. I got my master's in water management and hydrologic science. And then I started working, and my first job was at KBA in bioscience, and I did stormwater plans and some NEPA work. But I worked for about 2 years in the environmental industry before I decided to go back and get my PhD. And I went to the University of North Texas, which is in Denton. And I really enjoyed my time there. From there, my first job after that was at Texas A&M Texarkana, which is far east Texas. And then I was recruited to come back here, and I'm super excited to be here now. So that's kind of my journey to how I got where I am now. I've been here since 2015, and I was just looking at my records. This is the 22nd time I've taught this class at Texas A&M. So I teach it every semester and the summer, so I teach it quite a bit. So it's evolved over time. So these are this is a little bit more about me. I have a small child and an infant. And so you might see me respond at very strange hours in the middle of the night. But I also really enjoy endurance athletics, done Ironmans and marathons and different things like that. And I just am really passionate about the environment and sharing that passion with other people. All right. So I want you all to know that everything that is in this course is planned and is not random at all. So I actually have mapped this course out extensively, and I have gone through a lot of professional development as a course instructor to make sure that this course meets the core curriculum requirements as well as is best suited for student learning. So between 2020 and 2021, I completed a course on effective college instruction. It's actually the only certification course that's really recognized at the higher ed level. And I incorporate a lot of what I learned in that class into the class here. So I just want you to know that everything's there for a reason, and it's mapped out and scaffolded, even if you don't really see it. So if you're wondering why it's there, you're more than welcome to ask, but I have put a lot of effort into this class over the years, and it continually gets updated and improved. So this is a core curriculum class, and I'm not going to read all of this, but you should know that it is required to have critical thinking, communication, empirical and quantitative skills, and teamwork. Yes, you can do a teamwork class, a teamwork project in an online class. It's very possible. And I will also mention that this class is taught in a 5-week format during the summer, and they have a team project. So I think if you can do it in 5 weeks, you can definitely do it in a 15-week course. So I will lay it all out for you as to how it's going to go. But these are the things that have to be in the course. And you'll notice this 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is linked to our student learning objectives in this course, which I have put in the syllabus. I took it out of this syllabus or out of this PowerPoint. But if you look in the syllabus, you'll see what the student learning objectives are, and they are mapped back to the core curriculum outcomes. So just so you know that it's all connected. This is the textbook. We are using the 7th edition. You can use the 6th edition. If you really only had the 5th, we could probably get by with the 5th as well. The ISBN numbers are in. They are in the syllabus. So if you have questions about that, by all means, you feel free to ask. I'm also getting one of the books put on hold or reserve at the library. So if that's something that you need, you can rent the book for about $10 a month. The difference between these two versions, as far as I can tell, is the data and the stats that are listed for the human population growth chapter, which if you end up with the 6th edition and you have questions about what might be different and you're not getting answers correct on a reading quiz, then just talk to me and we'll work through that. All right, so how you're going to be evaluated. Does anyone notice anything about what's listed here about the methods of evaluation? What sticks out to you? What is or is not present there?
No tests.
No tests. There are no exams in this class. So there's no proctored exams. There's no exams. You're not going to have to cram for anything. You are going to take that time that you would have spent studying for an exam and spread it out effectively each week over the semester. So you have reading quizzes to do. So 1 to 2 a week. And then you'll have a module task each week, generally each week, and that takes what you've been reading and learning in terms of content, and you're going to apply it and create something. There are going to be 3 worldview reflections. Those are fairly short essays, 2 paragraphs. And then there's a team project, which we'll talk about shortly. It's 160 points, and overall, it's a total of 1,000 points. And there are no exams. Someone asked if the schedule will stay firm, and it will. Nothing major will change in the schedule over time. So our mini lecture quizzes. So reading and mini lecture quizzes, they're online in Canvas. They open at 8 a.m. on Mondays, and they close, or they are due, the following Monday, generally in most cases, the following Monday at 2 p.m. That is my calendar. So our week runs from Monday to Monday. Generally, everything is always due on Monday at 2 p.m. You do need to master the academic honesty quiz and the syllabus quiz before you will be able to access these things. So I highly recommend that you do that. The reading quizzes will close for any submissions at Tuesday at 2 p.m. So that gives you a 24-hour grace period if you need and or want it. The module tasks, as I mentioned before, they're designed to engage students and facilitate their ability to explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate environmental concepts. And you're going to watch videos, read your text, and then apply what you're learning to create something. And there will always be a rubric in Canvas for that. All right. Just gonna make sure everyone's muted. All right, so the next thing I want to mention is that we're going to have 3 worldview essays. Now, I mentioned before that they're just 2 paragraphs that you need to write. I give you templates, and I tell you exactly what you do need to write. So how this is set up is we'll do it 3 times. There's a template in Canvas, and follow the template. If you don't follow the template, things are not going to go well for you, and it's going to be a lot harder on you. So the worldview essay is designed to give you, you read the template and there are multiple prompts. You pick one of those prompts and you write on it. And so I'm asking you to write what your worldview is. Now, there is no right or wrong worldview. I don't change your worldview based off what you think I'm looking for. That's not what this is about. I want you to write what your worldview is, and you have to explain what your worldview is using course terms and defining them in your explanation. So for example, one of the prompts is, should a government have the right, or should a government have any role in regulating human population, kind of hearkening back to the former one-child policy of China. Now, there's not a right or wrong answer here. So you write what you think what your worldview is. You need to think about what you actually think about this and incorporate course terms. So some course terms that might make sense there would be fertility rate, ecological footprint, contraception. So you would incorporate those as they made sense in your writing and define them. So that would be paragraph 1. And then paragraph 2 is explaining how you formed your worldview. So I will say paragraph 2 is generally, I'll tell you where most people fall. Most people make mistakes. In paragraph 1, the mistakes people would make would not incorporate course terms or not define the course terms. That's the first mistake that you could make there. In the second paragraph, when I ask you to define or to describe how you formed your worldview, the mistake that's often made there is either students re-explain what their worldview is, which is not what you should be doing. So if you read over it a second time, it's like, oh, I'm saying what my worldview is again, scratch it out and start again. So that's not what you need to do. Don't explain it again. What you need to do is explain how you formed it. So back to the one-child policy. So let's say you're from a family of 10, and that has influenced how you think about that you want a large family. And so you don't think the government should have a role in how many children you have or how many children your family has. So if that's the case, you have to provide some detail. So I will tell you that one of the reasons people don't get good marks on that part is they just provide too vague of an answer. So vague answers are, I was raised this way. This is what my parents taught me. This is what my church teaches me. This is what a class taught me. This is what I read in a book. This is what I watched in a documentary. All that's a great start. There's nothing wrong with those things. They're just a good starting point. You just need to provide more details. Another question I've given is, so there's some species that organizations will put up as kind of trophy species, or like they're highly charismatic species. Pandas, elephants, rhinos, lions, those are kind of the charismatic species. And there are some organizations that will ask for funding to help save those species. So one question I ask is, like, what value do all species have? And so when you got to the reflection, let's say you say all species have great value, and you explain that in paragraph 1, and you provide course terms and you define them. And then paragraph 2, you could write about an experience that you had. So an example I give is one that I do with my daughter. We garden, and I talk to her about the important role that the birds play and the worms play. And we get in the dirt and we look at the insects, and we talk about how our garden helps us, as well as the bunnies come and the chipmunks come, and we feed everything, and everything has a role in the system. That is more detailed than this is what my parents taught me. So I hope everyone can see the difference between those two things. This is all written out in Canvas as well. So this will be assessed using Perceptive, which we will talk separately about that. That is a peer review system. You will be reviewing other people's worldviews and scoring them. You're not grading them, you're scoring them. The reason that we do this is, one, so that you can be exposed to other people's worldviews. Not everyone sees the world the same way as you do, and it's helpful to understand that. And it's helpful to just see, why do other people think the way they think? But also our worldviews influence our actions and influence how we move around and what we do in the world. And it's helpful to really reflect on that. And that's metacognition, or it's a type of critical thinking about thinking, which is what we're doing here. It's just a type of critical thinking. We're going to think about our thinking. All right, so here's the team project. The team project is explained in eCampus, or sorry, eCampus is our old platform, is explained in Canvas. It's broken down into several components. So the first thing you all are going to do is you're going to propose an idea. And then you're going to need to join your teams. FYI, everyone's going to join a team based off of interest. So I will take that proposed team list, that proposed ideas. I will filter it. I will decide. I will just make topics from that I think will fit well for the project. And then students can pick which team they want to be in. you'll create a team role, but you'll notice what's going on here is there's all these different points, and there's a lot of them that are formed as an individual. So you will do work, individual work that contributes to your team, and individual work that shows that you're keyed in, engaged, and participating. So that's 115. So about 72% of your points come from things that you turn in as an individual. And then only 28% come from what you turn in as a team. And I will say that notice that this submit a team project, the percent is determined by your team evaluations. So down here, there's an overall project participation. So you're going to get scored on how you participated in the team project by your peers in your team. And if they give you very, very low scores and it's across the board, then you get less of that 45% or 45 points. If you don't participate in making the final product, then you don't get all the points for it. Any questions there? Okay. So I'm trying something new this semester, and I will put it out there. So this is my first semester to ever try this with, and so we'll see how it goes. So one of my colleagues, his name is Dr. Jonan Donaldson. You are going to receive emails from him at some point, because I'm also doing a scholarship of teaching and learning research project within this course. And if you want to be part of my research, you're more than welcome to, and I'd love you to be part of it. And he'll send you emails about how you can do that. But he has a very interesting story. So he has a PhD in learning sciences, and he is a postdoc now. And he's doing a lot of really cool work here at the university. But he told me that during his undergraduate, he was working 40 hours and taking.
Hi
there, Sergio.
Oh, sorry, my roommate sneezed.
That's okay. You're not. He was working full time and taking a full load and sleeping 2 to 3 hours a week. That's a lot. And so he told me that he had a low stress GPA plan, and he was just planning on graduating. That's all he was after. And look, he now has a PhD, so there's nothing wrong with that. So I have long been tired of dealing with students dropping off on their team projects and not participating. And so here is a deal. So if you decide that you would like a low stress GPA, you can opt out of the team project. If you do, the maximum number of points you can earn in this course is 750, which is a C. So if that's something, if you identify with Dr. Jonan Donaldson's story, and you're working full time and taking a full load and you just can't commit to a team project, then in writing you will tell me that, and you can opt for the low stress GPA, the low stress option. Otherwise, I need you to commit to showing up in your team project and doing the work. So there's not going to be any, I'm opting to do this later. So it's in the beginning, you can opt out, but that's it. So if you don't opt out in the beginning, you're held accountable, and you need to do the work. Any questions about that? Because that's brand new. I've never done this before. Okay. All right. So this is just a general kind of lays out kind of a visual of what we've been talking about. But you have reading quizzes as a reminder. Those come online on Monday, and they are due the following Monday. You need to you'll read assigned chapters, and you'll watch mini lectures and take notes. And from that information, you will complete your module task. I always recommend that you look at the module task for the week first, so that you can think about what you're reading and watching, how that feeds into it. So that's my recommendation for you every week. Generally, things are going to be due on Mondays at 2 p.m. at the end of the week. The exception of that is if you need to submit something in a discussion board for the module task, which that will happen in week 2, you will submit the initial submission on a Friday, and then you will respond to your peers the following Monday. So, but generally everything is always Mondays at 2 p.m. So here's the overview. So we get communication and critical thinking from our worldview essays. We're going to do an ecological footprint project. Don't get too concerned about the word project. Essentially what you're going to do is you're going to calculate your ecological footprint, and you're going to track an element of your lifestyle that you want to track over the course of the semester. And then you're going to recalculate your footprint at the end of the semester, analyze the data, and write just a little write-up on it. So think about something that you might want to track for this semester. That could be the number of miles you drive, the number of minutes you shower, the number of meatless meals that you eat. So something that's related to your carbon or ecological footprint. We're going to have the team project, and we're going to have module tasks and reading quizzes for content mastery. Any questions? No? Okay. All right. So I try to make this a very inclusive learning environment, even in the online class. So how that relates to you is if you have a preferred name or pronoun, please let me know. And I also want to point out, if you feel like your academic performance in my course is being adversely affected by something outside of the class, please let me know. I will work with you to the best that I can. But the important thing is you let me know as soon as possible. If you let me know in week 14 that things went horribly wrong for you and you had all these things going on outside of class, I can't help you in week 14. I would love to, but it's too late. So you need to tell me early, and I can connect you with resources. So that's the main thing that I want to mention there. If you have other ideas about that you would like for an inclusive classroom, please let me know. That includes if you're aware of scholars or scientists or other experts that come from diverse backgrounds. Would love to incorporate those. Just let me know who they are. All right, and Aggie doesn't lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do, and neither elaborate, collaborate, or borrow. You are required to do the academic dishonesty quiz, and the reason that's there, it's for your own benefit. You're held to this academic standard, whether you realize it or not, and whether you know it or not. So I want you to know what the standard is so that you can uphold it. I don't want you to be in a situation where you didn't realize you were doing something wrong, because it doesn't matter if you know or you don't know, you're still held accountable to it. The reason this exists is for your benefit. This is why your Aggie ring, this is why your diploma means so much. So I highly recommend that you keep that in mind and know that if someone does commit academic dishonesty, I am required by the university to report it. I can't just slide because you don't want me to tell. And I do that so that everyone's ring and everyone's diploma has a really, really high value. So please don't do any academic dishonesty. If this falls, if you have a accommodation through disability resources, please let me know early. But in general, I will tell you that the course is set up in what is called universal design, so that generally everyone should be able to excel. But if you need a different modification or whatnot, please let me know. I'm not sure we're going to have time for all that. Okay, so you can email me at ksauder@tamu, but Canvas is best for course-related things. If you email me out of Canvas, if you email just me like regular email, please include the course number, because I have 3 classes and 224 students. In terms of response time, I generally respond within 24 hours, oftentimes much faster than that on the weekdays. On the weekends, I'm not really looking at my email much. So that's also why Mondays is the due date. I don't want to be looking at my email over the weekend. So I make sure that there shouldn't be an emergency over the weekend, but I will check periodically, but just don't expect a quick response over the weekend. If it is really, really pressing, I will do my best to respond, but most of the time it won't respond until Monday. Also, if I haven't responded in 24 hours within the week, the weekdays, please email me and tell me that I haven't responded within 24 hours. I'm not ignoring you. I just have too many emails that I have to deal with. So just know that it's not you. It's really just me trying to manage everything and make sure nothing slips through the cracks. Okay, so I am interested in educating each student as a full person. So I want to account for your full life inside and outside of class. And it would be best if all assignments were always turned in, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So I have a 24-hour contingent late policy. You can use it up to 5 times. There's a link in Canvas that you click on this little button and it takes you to a page where you click on a hyperlink and it will take you to a Google form. You fill that form out. if you're going to have, if you know you're going to turn something in late. So let's say things didn't go your way over the weekend and you're not going to be able to make the Monday deadline. So you fill out the form within 24 hours of the due date. So something is due Monday at 2 p.m. You need to fill out before Tuesday at 2 p.m. You also will have to complete it before Tuesday at 2 p.m. to get the waiver. So anything that is due, it applies to anything due that day. It doesn't apply to the feedback stage, which is the last stage of the peer review process. I just can't, it's the way the system is set up. For the quizzes, those close after 24 hours from the due date. So quizzes close at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays. Those won't stay open any later than that. Assignments that are not quizzes, those will stay open for 3 days up until Thursday at 2 p.m. So if things were just not going well for you, you could fill out the no questions asked policy before Tuesday at 2 p.m. And then you could technically have until Thursday at 2 p.m. to turn it in with losing only 20%, because you would get a free 10%, you get a free extra day. So just consider that. You can use it up to 5 times. And we do keep track of how many times it's used. So any questions? Okay. There we go, questions. Little owl. Okay, all right. So next thing I want to talk about is, let's see where we stand. 235. Let's see. Let's find something. Okay. All right. So now we should be seeing a Peerceptive sign. Peerceptive. Okay. So we're going to use Peerceptive for peer evaluation in this course. There's a student guide for this. If you would like it, I will make this. This is available in Canvas. Peerceptive is an objective research validated platform that it provides for a double-blind system for peer review. You share your work with classmates and give and receive feedback on that work. It's based off of, now it's probably closer to 15 years worth of research. And it provides, I've been using this for 7 years, and I've noticed that there's a variety of benefits to you just in terms of grades. Aside from that, there's other benefits, but in terms of grades, it's a more forgiving system. So there's more opportunities for you to earn points, even if you don't turn in an assignment. It's also, I've noticed that your scores are as reliable, if not more reliable, than had everything been graded solely. How to phrase this? The grades that come from Peerceptive are as valid as anything else. So you'll see this as we go along, but just to give you scale, I have 200 students this semester in 201, so 100 in this class and 100 in another class. And so when I grade, I found when I graded 200 essays every 2 weeks, the people at the beginning of the block had, it was very hard to make the grading as quality because you get so tired. And just trying to get it all done in enough time so that you get the feedback before the next cycle begins is really challenging. But this system allows me to give you feedback quickly and give you a grade and a score very quickly and very reliably. It's cloud-based, it's double-blind, meaning you don't know who you're reviewing and they don't know who you are. I know who everyone is. So Peerceptive helps to improve writing, it helps to improve critical thinking, and it helps improve analytical reasoning, because you're going to have to look at an essay and see how do you think it scores on a rubric that I give you. Critical thinking, because you're going to have to think about how do you provide critical feedback that is constructive to this person, that tells them, hey, you did this great, you could improve here, and also just improves your writing because you get feedback from others and you get to see how others are writing, which is also helpful for improving. All of these things are important skills to develop, especially as you go into the working world. I will tell you, no one writes anything in a silo anymore. So no matter what it is that you're going to be doing, someone is going to review your work before it goes out to the next person, generally. And it's helpful to be able to give and receive quality feedback and know how to operate in that world. So from a benefit of you give and receive feedback, but you also have this nice student to student teaching relationship, and that can provide some really quality learning benefits. So how you use Perceptive, I can't stress this enough. Do not try to create an account in Perceptive. Don't do it. Do not do it. It's not going to serve you. It's not going to help you. It's going to confuse things. You're not going to be able to find my course that way. So you need to click on the Perceptive link that's in Canvas. It hasn't become available yet. You'll see it in a couple of weeks. You'll answer a few questions. You'll set up your profile, and you're automatically registered for Perceptive in my course. Do not try to access Perceptive from perceptive.com. It's not going to work. You won't find the work that you need to do there. Okay? It only works by going through Canvas. How it works. The first thing you do is you upload your submission. In this case, it's the worldview essay. There will be a due deadline that you need to do that by. Once we get to that deadline, there's a grace period of 24 hours, and then the review starts. During the review phase, that is when people will be peer reviewing each other, and that will go on for a period of time, and then there will be a deadline, and then there's a 24-hour grace period, and then we get into what's called the back evaluation or the feedback stage. And that is when you, as someone that wrote an essay, are going to review everyone that gave you comments and feedback, and you're going to rate the feedback that you got. This is very important. Do not put your name on the submission that you put into the system. Okay, I know who everyone is. You don't need to put your name on it. So when you're writing in your Word document or whatever, do not put your name in there, because that eliminates the double-blind system. So you will click on the assignment to access it. And then the first time around, you'll have this something that looks similar to this. I think they've updated the user interface. It doesn't look quite like this, but you will have a button that says upload your document. You will have to verify, and they will actually ask you to verify. So you press a button, it says upload, you upload it. It gives you a scan of what you've just submitted, and you have to confirm it with another button. Make sure you look at that and you submit the thing that you wanted to submit. You can revise your submission up until the review begins. All right, this is probably one of the more confusing things, so I'm glad I'm explaining to you, and I'm glad you're all here. How Perceptive works. The assignment is given. You have a submission deadline. Obviously, there's no late penalty. You can submit late. You can submit your writing late. It will come with a penalty. If you use the 24-hour grace period, I will waive the first 24 hours. So you can submit your essay up until 24 hours before the end of the peer review process. So you need to look and see when are the peer reviews due, and if you are submitting late and you need a lot of extra time, then you can submit up until 24 hours before that happens. Okay. When reviewing is allowed. So I will tell you that I have a grace period after the submission deadline. So there's actually a buffer here. So the review will start 24 hours after the submission deadline. You can submit your reviews up until the review deadline with no penalty. And then there's a grace period of, I think, 24 hours. I can't extend that. There's a grace period of 24 hours after that if you needed to submit a review late. But you cannot submit the feedback stage. Like when you give feedback to those people that gave you reviews, you cannot do that late. The system just doesn't allow it. Okay. All right, so you can submit 24 hours before the review deadline. You cannot access assignments until you have submitted your own work, unless this is important. So let's say everything went crazy for you and you didn't actually even get to write your document. There is a little bit of grace for you. So let's say that happened and you couldn't write your essay. This is what you should do. You wait until you are in the 24-hour deadline before the reviews, and then you can go in and you can do 3 peer reviews and you can get some points. So that is why the system is so forgiving, that even if you don't write your essay, you can still earn some points, which you might find helpful at some point if things don't go your way at some point. So if you miss the late submission window, you can wait 24 hours before the review deadline and start doing peer reviews. This will allow you to earn some points. If that's the case, I also recommend that you do extra reviews for extra credit, so you can even earn even more points. The main student dashboard is laid out like a timeline with dates and a progress bar. You can't go backwards, unfortunately. So the color prompts will tell you where you are in the process. So this shows that the student has completed 1 of 3 required reviews. You will do 3 reviews are required. You can do up to 3 extra for extra credit. All right, so when you're doing reviews, what's going to happen is you're going to request a review. You're going to request a document. You read that document. You provide fill out the rubric for it, and you provide scores and provide written feedback for why you're giving each score, why you're giving each element the score that you are. And then once you've completed that, you can request another one, and you can do 3 extra for 3% extra credit for up to 12% extra credit. And the 12% extra credit is off of the total points available. So for the first essay, it's 50 points. The essay, the assignment is 50 points. So you can get up to 6 extra points if you do all 3 extra reviews. So it's just extra ways. So this is the reviewing dimensions of the rubric. So it'll be a pull down menu, and you'll see, so here you have the option of 7, 5, 3, or 1. So you would select where you thought the essay that you're reading falls, and then you'd provide a constructive and useful comment for the person that wrote it. So this is great, it's not useful. If someone got a 7, then tell them why they got a 7. Tell them what they did right so they can do it right the next time. If they didn't get a 7, tell them what they didn't do right and how they could improve the next time. Okay, at the end, there's a feedback stage. So there will be an email that tells you it's now time to read your reviews and provide feedback. So for each dimension, you're going to score those that gave you scores of 1 is low and 5 is high. So a very helpful, very specific peer review could get a 5, whereas a generic with little detail or no solution suggested could get a 2 or 1. And you enter the appropriate rating, and then you can provide feedback as to why that is. Press save and move on. So how the grades work. So you have a document score. The document score is determined by the weighting and the normalizing of the peer review scores and a benchmark by me, all played into an algorithm. So I do want to point this out. You are not grading each other. It is not that simple. It is much, much more complex than that. I am involved in every stage of it, and I provide benchmarks that help adjust all of the curving. So the next stage is the review score. So the quality and accuracy of your peer reviews. How accurate are your reviews? So if you're not paying attention to the rubric and you're totally off base on the scores that you're giving your class, the scores that you're providing, your review score is going to go down. How helpful are your comments? So if you say this was great, you say this was great, or you did a great job, or you didn't do what you were supposed to do, those are all really non-specific comments, and you won't get very good feedback scores for that. And then the last thing is the task score. Did you complete all of your required reviews, and did you complete your feedback? The task score is the easiest one, obviously. It's just did you do it, did you not do it? And again, you can get up to 12 extra % points. I will say, if you start an extra review, finish it. The system doesn't understand the difference between an unfinished and a finished one. So make sure you finish any one that you start. And if there's a problem, always just email me. A note about academic dishonesty within Peerceptive. Don't do it. It's not a good idea. I can see all activity. You're not going to be able to hide behind anything in there. Suspicious activity is flagged to me, and I am on a first name basis with everyone at Peerceptive. They know me very well. I can override all grades, and I have. If you think you can skim by without doing the work and still receive the credit, you're sorely, sorely mistaken. Do not make up scores. Do not copy and paste. make sure that you're doing this authentically. Otherwise, it's going to come back and get you. Doing academic dishonesty can happen in Perceptive, and if it does, I will report it. So you can get a 0 and potentially report it to the Honor Council, and that could result in worse than a 0. I will say that a few years ago, there were some entomology students in a summer course, and 5 of them were graduating seniors. And at the end of the summer, that they were no longer graduating seniors because they failed the course because they committed academic dishonesty within Perceptive. So don't do it. It's not a good idea. Not a good idea. All right, questions on Perceptive. This is usually where questions come.
Is it like 12% points per assignment, or is that total points we can earn? Like, can we earn like 12% on 1, 2, or 3?
So there are 3 essays. The first one's 50, the next one's 55, the next one's 60. So let's say for the first one, it's 50 points. You do an extra review, so it's 3% of 50. So that's how many points you would get for doing it. Does that answer your question?
Kind of.
Okay, so you can do, it is 12% of the total value that assignment is worth. But you'd have to do all 3 to get that 12%.
Okay, so if I do 12% on the 50 points, I can do 12% on the 55.
Yeah, you can do them on all.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Let's see, what was I going to say about that? Oh, when you do the extra credit in Perceptive, it will automatically go into your score that's reported. So I don't know if, I think you can see it on your end, but I can see it on my end. So just know that if you do that extra work, it's not going to be an extra column in Canvas. It's in the column that it's in the grade that it gets reported for your assignment for that one assignment. So it's just know that it's integrated there. Okay, what else we got? Other questions? Okay. So the last thing, I just want to just quickly look at Canvas. Okay. So now we're looking at Canvas. So on the front page, if you haven't started the orientation module, highly recommend that you start doing that. Review the team project overview and learning modules. That's how you get to the learning modules. It will drop you at learning module number 1. Here's a quick link for our syllabus, my virtual hours, course calendar. That's helpful. That's firm. Those dates aren't going to change. It's very busy, but it is very secure. 24-hour contingent, no questions asked policy. So that's all there for you. Let's go look at the learning modules. Let's get out of week 1 because that one's a little off. You're also looking at my view, so things look a little different. I haven't published this yet. So there is always an overview and to-do list. So I mentioned this in the tips and tricks, or like tips to succeed in this class. Look at the overview and to-do list. We can look at the one for week 1. So I give you an overview of what's happening in the week, and then I tell you what needs to happen that week, and I do it by day. So, oh, that should have been Friday. Dang it. That's why that showed up weird. Okay, so that's Friday. And I will tell you that I copy and paste this and I send it to you generally on Fridays to remind you of what's coming up. So make sure you look at the overview and to-do list. Each week there will also be readings and resources. So these are the things that you should, my goodness, no wonder people probably got confused. Let's change that. That's Friday. Okay. And I will update that so you guys can have that, but we'll send the updated one. So there's always going to be reading and resources. You can look at week 2 so you can just see a more typical example. So here's a typical example of what things would look like. You have things to read. You have chapters 1 and 2. FYI, I provide you the first 5 chapters in case you need them. And then you have mini lectures to watch. So these mini lectures closely align with the questions that are asked in the reading quizzes. You can watch them as many times as you want. Generally, I try to make them no longer than 12 minutes and ideally shorter than 10. A few times I have these things. These are called sways, and they're really kind of fun, interactive, a little bit more advanced than PowerPoints. You don't have to look at them. They're just kind of interesting. But they are a non-audible version of like the videos. Let's see. So you have the overview and to-do list. Here I've explained the worldview assignments. If there's a team project task, there's going to be a section for that of what you need to do. And then also then you'll have your week activities. So if you have reading quizzes to do and any activities that need to happen that week. So it's all laid out, and there's always a checklist at the beginning of the semester or beginning of the week that you need to do. And I send that checklist to you again via an announcement in Canvas at the end of the week, just to remind you. So, all right, that is the vast majority of what I had to share with you. If you have any additional questions, I'm happy to stay behind. But that's what I have for you today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you.